that we were running a little bit late. We had a work session before, but we are going now. So roll call.
Mayor Linda Calhoun.
Here.
Councilor Steve Cherry.
Here.
Councilor George Wondell.
Here.
Councilor Dan Foley.
Here.
Councilor Sloan Covington.
Here.
If you'd stand and join me for the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance. Dear Heavenly Father, we just thank you for this beautiful day. Thank you for the weekend that just finished, for the good business that we had, the safe weekend. Thank you for allowing our businesses to have a little bit of revenue coming in, and we just appreciate that. We pray your protection of our community during this COVID-19 pandemic. We just pray that things get back to normal really, really soon. Be with us tonight as we go through this meeting. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And we didn't do roll call, so let's do a quick roll call.
No, we did.
Did we do roll call?
We did.
Yeah.
How did I miss that? Okay. Okay, first item is approval of the agenda, so I would take a motion.
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any other discussion? Roll call.
Councilor Sloan Covington.
Yes.
Councilor Dan Foley.
Yes.
Councilor George Wondell.
Yes.
Councilor Steve Cherry.
Yes.
Motion carries. The next item is approval of the minutes from our regular meeting on April 28th and our special meeting on May 13th. If I could have a motion for that.
I'll make a motion that we approve our minutes from the regular meeting of April 28th and the special meeting from May 13th.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Any other discussion? Roll call.
Councilor Dan Foley.
Yes.
Councilor Sloan Covington.
Yes.
Councilor Steve Cherry.
Yes.
Councilor George Wondell.
Yes.
Motion carries. Next item is financial report and approval of expenditures for April 2020.
Okay, the GRTs collected for March. Construction was down $20,722, 59.8%. Retail trade was down $25,969, 28.74%. Real estate was down $9,093, 44.85%. And accommodation and food service was down $9,711, 35.82%. And lodgers tax, we had 3 lodges that did not report. For the month, we were down $26,572, or 29.85%. Year to date, we're down $3,938, or just over 0.5%. And gross receipts tax for the month, we're down $79,546, 34.86%. Year to date, we're down $62,664, 3.36%. And that is my report.
And just to remind everybody that GRT is what was collected in March
March, that's an ask.
that we received in May. Okay. All right. So if you guys want to kind of look through our expenditures, if you have any questions.
I just lost audio.
Okay, any questions? I would take a motion to approve our expenditures for April 2020.
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any other discussion? Roll call?
Counselor George Wondell,
Yes.
Counselor Dan Foley,
Yes.
Counselor Steve Cherry,
Yes.
Counselor Sloan Covington.
Yes.
Motion carries. Okay, we will move on to committee reports. Start with public safety.
We did have a meeting, department reports. Marshal's office, Tim reported that he has hired a new deputy, Brian Garcia. He's still being equipped and will be on duty soon.
Very nice guy.
The ROV request has been submitted to the state. However, it may not be till Labor Day till we get an answer. They're just sitting on everything right now with the virus going on, not making much action. Tim also reported that planning for Memorial Day, similar as they've done in the past, they're going to have stop signs ready to turn if they needed them. Public Works will be restriping the crosswalks and the curb endings. He did have a meeting with the county sheriff's office, and they are not going to have much available as extra protection force. State police will be staffing on their own. And as we saw, they were here pretty heavy. In EMS, Ed Saint reported that transfers are still going. They had 19 EMS calls in the month. 4 more EMS and 11 were the transfers. Call volume for 2020 was 141, 86 EMS and 55 transfers. There have been no reported COVID cases in Red River. They're making progress with online training with the help of Ron and Dina. And they're staffing, we're getting their staff scheduling for Memorial Day and still trying to recruit some people. In the fire department, Deke reported that fire calls were down. There were no fire calls or mutual aid calls in April. He reported that Carson was in stage 1 restrictions at that time. Although town of Red River has no restrictions going on yet. There have been a few wild fires in the area, grass stuff mostly. Hand crew was at the Lumberton fire during this time, and they had another fire at Amalia they worked on. And John's almost finished his EMD class, and then that was all we had to do, so we adjourned.
Thank you. Public Works.
We did have a short meeting. George mentioned some of the things getting ready for Memorial Day, so it's striping and so forth. Good news is we got our garbage truck back with the engine. I saw it running around getting things done, so that was that's going to be helpful for this summer. And the big thing is we have the SCADA system installed. There's still some training that needs to be done on it for our guys to learn how to use it with their equipment. We may have to purchase either some smartphones or a tablet. I'm thinking that a couple of smartphones would probably be the way to go, since they don't have to carry 2 pieces of equipment, but that's just my opinion. So still have some street lights out, and they're still working on those. They seem to be a mystery. So, hopefully we can get our new LED lights in soon and be done with it. But Russell reported the Copper King paving was complete. They still need to go through a checklist, and I think that project's closed out. Phase 2 water system was awarded to Anchor Build out of Albuquerque, and they're going to start on June 1st. So that's coming up, and I think they're putting their equipment over on the Moots property. So if you see all that, that's what's going on down there. The water tank project, was awarded to DNR Tanks, and that's going to start on June 15th. And we were adjourned.
Okay, thank you. Parks and Rec.
We did have a meeting. We did get some finalizing on as far as landscaping. Hopefully we'll be going in. We're gonna do some dirt prep work in the park. And we have for the trees and the shrubs. And then we're gonna try and get the irrigation done just before planting. We did do some more research into the artificial grass rather than using the engineered bark. And that was almost cost prohibitive. It was so expensive. And then what they were saying as far as maintenance that we would have to do on a constantly basis. So looks like the engineering will probably work better for us. Again, we've done some research on it. It is a material that's made out of bark and stuff, so it should work better than just having the dogs running around in the dirt. So we're still planning on getting that done, the trees and stuff. And then the committee was kind of a toss up as far as the shade structure. So we're going to relook at that here, hopefully for the next month. The church group is planning on coming in the first part of July. So we're hoping we'll be able to utilize them for part of that, and would like to also maybe have them help on part of the trail system. We discussed the name. There was like 6 of them thrown out to the committee to choose from for naming the trails up here. Well, we did that last fall and got all that cleared up. There was a few down trees in it that have been cleared out already this season, this spring. And so we're hoping to be able to get the naming settled and then be able to, once we get our media set together, we can see about getting some signs made so we can get that put in there too as well. So that's kind of where we were. And we didn't come up with a final yet on the name, but so that's just set to be finished. And we
So-
adjourned.
Just a couple things, and I'm not opposed to the mulch. So, but what's the reasoning that we don't do just grass?
Because they'll run off a week running around on the grass and you're in dirt.
You think it gets that much use?
Oh yeah. You can already, if you go over and look right now, you can already see where it's worn down.
Okay.
And our engineered they were looking at about 4,000, give or take a little bit, versus like almost 15 for
For that other, yeah, that
for
other
the
was
other
too
stuff. So
expensive.
it's just way out of hand. But you'll see a lot of the dog parks
Have
that
that.
have that.
Okay.
And again, it's just the way it compacts in, and it's cleaner and a lot better. I think everybody would be a nicer look for.
Pick up after a dog in the mulch.
It's pretty simple though, because basically what it does, it allows the urine and all that part to filter through, and then the other part, we have the dog stations and stuff. You still have to pick up after.
Right.
So I mean that continues. So whether it's dirt or in that, but that does compact because of the type of the material it's made. It all interlaces with those little smaller and the larger pieces, and then as it's compacted down. But that's what it still allows for the liquids to moist through and without being a smell. And
Splintering?
Do they
Yeah.
have issues with their paws getting splintered or?
no, that's why this is actually made specifically for the
Dog parks.
parks and stuff. So
Dan, on trail naming, is that just a new addition, or are you gonna name the whole nature trail?
well, at this point, they were talking about just from here down, where the loop is and all of that, to come up with some names. Eventually, we would love to be able to tie all of the trail systems in to where we'll have names and markers, distant markers like down there, maybe every 2/10 of a mile with a little post or something. So if somebody is lost or we have to send in anybody to help, first aid or that kind of stuff, they have some better way of giving them an idea of which leg of the trail they're on, and so to help that as
My
well.
other question is like on the nature trail back here, they used to have little plaques that talked about different trees and different things that
Right.
have all been pretty much destroyed, and as it's
Right, and that's what we'd like. I
gonna
mean,
replace those as well.
eventually that's the plan, to do that for all of our trails, to have a little more informational, to where it's something not just for the walking, but educational, so people can learn a little bit about all the environment around them as well.
Yeah, George, this is Linton
Will you
talking
guys
too.
maybe narrow it down to probably 2 or 3 names, and then the council go ahead and make the final decision on that?
Yeah, we can do that for sure.
Cool, and this is Linton talking, and I think we were thinking about, well, the markings need to be on the trails so that we can do medical calls for when people call in. The EMS knows where to go. And then also branding in our signage along with the new marketing feel that we have, that we're coming up with the new firm that we pick. So that was kind of like to tie it all in together.
Perfect. Okay, thanks, Linton. Any other questions or comments for Parks? All right, Rogers Tax and Economic Development.
We did have a meeting, of course, 2 weeks ago. Everything was a little bit different, so we kind of discussed events that they both, the chamber and the ski area dates we're still looking at. All that's pretty much changed since then. So we won't go over that, but April reported that they're continuing to work on the new website with Sunny 505 and working on a virtual birthday party for the town for July 3rd. The 2020-2021 Visitors Guide is here. And the big topic of conversation was reviewing the RFPs, and the committee for marketing. The committee that was doing that consisted of Linton, Katie McDowell, Paulette Kiker, Daniel Lamb, and Marissa. Then we just talked about canceled events, which we all already know: Memorial Weekend, Car Show, Art and Wine, Family Encampment, and Southwest Pickers. Conference center bookings were down, and occupancy at the town housing was down as they expected with seasonal changes.
Okay, perfect. All right, Mayor's report. We just got an email. It looks like the governor is going to allow dine-in on patios starting tomorrow. So not a lot different, but at least people will be able to use their patios and not have to use the picnic tables that we kind of use for the weekend. And then still sounds like June 1st is when she'll allow the dine-in.
That's a game changer for the bull and
It is.
Murray and me.
Yeah.
And D,
and
yeah, it is. It's
D, and
huge.
That's big.
And Capo, so it's going to help
Capo's
pretty
too.
much all of them. So that's
Everybody.
good.
It's great.
We are going to leave the porta potties and the hand washing stations in town as long as we need those. We talked about cutting down, so we'll cut down on the porta potties. We did testing at the brewery today. We do, just to confirm, there are no cases, no positive cases of COVID-19 in Red River right now. The reason that the testing was done, they have been offering it to us. They've offered it to the town. They've offered it to different businesses. Just that's one of the gating criteria that the governor is basing one of the criteria she's using to whether she's going to open up or not. And right now she's wanting 5,000 tests a day. I think it was at 4,400, and then there was a big spike last week where there was a day that there was over 10,000. But that's just, it's important to get as many people tested as we can. So the brewery, I think they did about 40 employees and another 40 local people. So we did about 80 tests today, and that was the health department that came up and did that. So no cases, just testing, because that's what they're recommending. We do have the MOU back with the county signed for the E911 tax. So we should start receiving money on that beginning July 1. And I'm not exactly how that's going to work out. If they're going to go back now, and what we get on July 1 will be for April or for May. Exactly how that'll be, but we should begin. So we'll start seeing some money now going into dispatch. So that's going to be a big help for us right now. We have, I'm on the Mayor's Economic Recovery Council, and we meet every Thursday. So we'll meet again on the 11th, on this Thursday at 11. And they kind of give us an update as far as what's going on, what she's kind of thinking about, what the gating is, what all the different criteria that are being met. And it's a good time to listen to mayors from from as far as Sunland Park to Ruidoso, Raton. So we can all kind of talk about what's happening in the different communities and how we're handling different things. So it's just a real informational meeting to be in on. Again, we need to make a decision on the 4th of July parade. We keep kind of pushing that off. So that's probably, we may have to have a special meeting to talk about that and decide. I know that April and her crew are kind of looking at ways that we can maybe do something a little outside of the box, still have a celebration. We'll still do our birthday celebration on the 3rd, and then not sure exactly what we'll do to celebrate on the 4th, but work with the chamber and see what we can come up with to do something. I know I'm getting phone calls about people, you know, wanting to know, is it canceled? What are we going to do? How's it going to be handled? So, and I think that's all I have. If you guys have any questions for me. All right, next item is planning and zoning. And we have a conditional use permit for Chad and Anita McAdams, Sure Shot Annie's, 508 East Main Street. And this is in the Old Patrick's building. So they're requesting permission to use part of the building as residence, and it is located in a tourism overlay zone. So is Chapel on the call?
She is.
Hi, Linda. Hi, thanks, Linda. So planning and zoning, it was brought to our attention that the McAdams, the owners of the building, may be residing in the building. So John McCullum and I went down there, and while they were in town, John did the fire inspection as a commercial building. And then I let them know about the conditional use permit, how residential in the tourism overlay zone is a conditional use. They were unaware of that. The contractor that they did have that did the work was out of Eagle Nest, and he is now deceased, so we couldn't get further information from him. But I asked the McAdams to apply for a conditional use permit, and then they did. It went to planning and zoning back in April, and planning and zoning elected not to approve the conditional use permit. The residence begins 42 feet back from the front of the lot, and the conditional use requirement for mixed use, as you guys know, is 50 feet. And so planning and zoning denied or recommends the disapproval of the conditional use permit. Planning and zoning did ask about business hours and long-term business plans, things like that. So that's the basis of it. And I will add that we do have the building permit from 2017. So Chad McAdams and his contractor applied for a building permit. His contractor was Custom Structures, Aaron Kinney out of Eagle Nest. And there were it was approved at the time, but it was not known that there was going to be a residence put in. The building permit, we believe, was for the roof only, and because it's designated for commercial use only on the building permit. So I put in a request with the New Mexico State Construction and Industries Division, and they didn't have any record of a state building permit either, or any associated plans as well. So we're not sure if it was done without state approval, which, as you guys know, is required for commercial buildings. But anyway, so that's the gist of it. I know that Chad and Anita McAdams are on the call if you guys have any further questions.
So Chapel, I guess I have a question for you. On the residence, it would have been located, what, towards the back of the building?
It is, yeah. So they went ahead and put in the residence because they weren't aware of the conditional use in the tourism overlay zone. And so if you walk into the structure, the first part is commercial. They are not open for business yet. I think they plan to be open for business. They are doing some work on the inside, on the front part. And then kind of there's a wall, and then from back from there is their residence. John and I were just there to review the commercial space. So we did not see the residents.
So I think the intent of the tourism overlay zone was to not have a residence right on Main Street. And if you were going to have your residence, then it had to be, you know, if you had a vacant land or whatever in front, then the residence had to be 50 feet off. I thought if you had a second story building, then your residence could be right there on Main Street. So I guess I'm not really understanding exactly why it was denied.
Yeah, so it was, you're correct. So it either has to be 50 feet removed from the front of the lot line or on the second story.
It is only one story.
If it's right on Main Street. And this is a one-story building. So it's on the same level as the commercial part in the front.
I guess we've never had an instance where the residence is located in the back of an existing building. So it's kind of a weird.
Wheezy's the Star.
Well, are they 50 feet off?
But they were
I think so.
grandfathered.
They were grandfathered in.
Their grandfather, yeah.
Yeah.
That's different.
So this one, so they did purchase the property prior to the formation of the tourism overlay zone. However, they started the building they added this residential part a year after the tourism overlay zone was put into place.
And I just, I guess I just think they have a business at the front. They're only 8 feet short of being within the requirements, and it is inside an existing business. So it's not like they're trying to convert an existing commercial to residential. It's already commercial and they're not changing that. And they're just trying to have a little space to live in, which was kind of the intent of allowing residences on a commercial.
When was that done? How long after the overlay? When was that?
1 year after.
A year after?
Yeah, and Linda, I have a couple of things to add. So part of the addition of the residence was not approved by the town. It was done illegally. They didn't have an appropriate town permit or, as far as we know, a state permit as well. So that is part of it. And I think also the planning and zoning commissioners did ask a lot about the actual state of the business up front. If you were to go inside, it's not something that appears to be open for business. The floor is all torn up and they don't have much inventory. So I think planning and zoning was a little, how do I say it? They didn't know they didn't know, how do I put this? Sorry.
If it was going to be used for commercial, if it was
Yeah,
gonna be used for residential.
exactly. Like they're just using it as a residence apparently at this time. I know that they have, and Chad and Anita are on, so they can mention that they do have some plans to open when they're here, but they're not here that often.
So was
It's every few months.
done to the back of the building? It wasn't just converted, it was converted.
Like inside.
Okay.
Because there were 3 rooms in the back of it, or 3 kind of separate sections that I think were just walled off
Okay.
inside.
And does it have a kitchen and,
I don't know.
oh,
I just know what it looked like before they owned it.
They're not really running a business.
Yeah.
And it's,
okay.
So
All
is
right.
there a way for them to remedy this if they did want to, you know what I
Open
mean?
the retail, I would imagine, full time.
Well, if they were to,
If they did want to have residential in the back, I mean, what would be allowable? How would they?
Wouldn't they have to meet the 50-foot?
well, I
Well,
would think if they had an operating commercial business up front that was open all the time,
Well,
that
that's-
we would work with them
They're
to
not
allow them to
all
live in the
open all
back
the
of,
time.
well, not,
But-
okay, but if they had an operating
Yes.
business, because it's not ever open, then I would hope we would work with them to allow them to do some
There's
kind
gotta
of
be a
conditional
way.
use where they could live in the
Okay.
back of it. Because if you buy a business in Red River and you're planning to live in the back of it or live on site, it's much more cost effective than buying a business and then having to go out and buy a house. So,
Yeah, like I say, I think they need to have an ongoing business going on, and then they may need to rectify their construction, some get their permits and make sure everything's up to code and all that, you know.
And reapply.
right. So what we could do is go ahead and accept planning and zoning's recommendation to deny it, leaving it open that they could come back at a later time and rectify everything
To planning and zoning.
and have an operating business and
What's
have,
the definition of an operating business?
well, you know, we're seasonal, and if you're not going to be open during the summer or the winter, then you're not really,
I just want to make
Yeah.
sure.
If you're
you
just
don't-
open
I don't
when
know.
you're in town,
Right.
that's,
yeah.
Yeah, that,
I think you would have to have some kind of normal operating hours within our season.
but then do
Can we
they need to
speak?
rectify the difference where they've put the wall up inside to meet the requirements and
I don't think that's, like Linda said, I think the intention was that if you were gonna just have a home, you have to be 50 feet back, but if it's part of the same building,
But is that, again, there's the intent, is the intent to do that, or is that intent for housing because the business is never open? So is it intent to have housing and you have a business front that's,
Well, I think
Is it
that's why,
there or it's
I think
not
that's
there
why
or
P
something?
and
I
Z
think they wanna
denied it.
Chad and Anita
Oh.
are on, and I think they do have some comments too.
Okay,
We could answer some questions if you would like.
sure.
First of all, the business, we're remodeling because in the winter, I have a bunch of snowboard stuff, gloves and everything else coming in. And all we had is t-shirts. At first, we didn't know what we really wanted to do. I don't want to do what everybody else is doing. So I got a hold of some snowboard people. I can even give you their phone numbers and stuff if you need to call them. I got inventory coming in for winter. We plan to be open all winter next year.
But with the,
As far as the business, or as far as back there, we had that walled up, and we're just staying there when we were there, and
on the load bearing wall.
it's not on a. It just those 3 partitions that were there. I only walled up 2 of them, or had 2 of them walled up, and we were staying there. But eventually, what I want to do is we're looking at buying a house right now, or buying some land so we can build a house and convert that just to storage back there.
But with the question of the being 50 foot back, he used a load bearing wall to section it off. So that's the reason it's short, that space.
And I don't think that's the issue. I think we could get around that, you know, that 8-foot variance. I think that the more of the issue is the intent of the tourism overlay zone to make sure that we don't have buildings on Main Street that aren't businesses.
Yeah.
That are
See,
more,
that we don't plan to keep it like that. It's going to turn into just storage, back storage, because that building had no back storage on it at all, where you could put stuff back behind walls or anything.
For backstock.
okay. And what are your plans on actually having a building permit issued to do it properly?
Whatever I need to do. I mean, when we had the roof done, I asked the builder, I said, I'd like to wall these up back here so I could put 2 rooms back here. And he said, oh, I'll take care of that. So I didn't know it wasn't getting taken care of. That's my bad. I mean, in Texas, when you hire a contractor, he takes care of all that. So I didn't know that. I'm sorry on that part. I can do what I need to do to get it remedied. I mean, I just don't know what to do.
Well, and Chad, I think this is Chapel. I think she's also referencing that you guys don't have a building permit for your work that you're doing right now.
Right. And I've called the permit department to find out exactly what we need to send them in order to redo the floor. Because that's all we're doing in the front right now.
Yeah,
Is the floor.
I'm just pulling up the carpet and putting tile down, and that's it.
Yeah, I am, the permits come through my office in town hall, and
Okay.
I haven't received any requests, so maybe you did submit it to the Mexico CID, but it first has to come through us.
so I got a question. What are y'all projecting as far as for your business, as far as time that you expect to be open?
So when the winter season opens, I guess Thanksgiving, hopefully it'll open, you know, all this COVID stuff will be done. My husband plans on going up there and being there for the winter season.
What about summer?
But summer, not right now.
I haven't got anything planned for summer except for just the t-shirts. I was trying to start out with the winter stuff, getting it, and then progress into the summer next year.
Because we still have obligations in Texas that keep us here, and we don't know anyone in town well enough to hire them on full time to run a business. We're not there. You know what I mean?
Well, we're with you on that. We got that.
Okay.
Because we can't leave. We just can't pick up and go and like we want to, and we can't be there year round like we want to. So
Yeah.
we're trying to make do with what we can.
I'm a third-party inspector, and I can take off during the winter because we're not that busy, and I can go up there and work. So, I mean, that's where I was going to start, and hopefully, we're hoping to be up there full-time in 2 years.
So then is it a vacant building during the summer? On Main
They,
Street?
they have merchandise here.
Right.
It's just,
I don't know, I'm just-
okay.
It's here periodically. So.
Okay.
So when we do go, like when I'm allowed to take off work, we'll go up there like 4th of July, up for the holidays. We usually would go up there Memorial Day, but all of that was canceled. We go up for the main events and we'll open up for that week or whatever, and then we'll just close and come home.
So I guess what our options are is we can, go ahead and accept the recommendation from planning and zoning and have them come back once they have a building permit and have all of their permits in place and go back to P&Z again. And then we could, if we wanted to have a special meeting on that, we could, but since they don't have permits, I think it's really hard to go ahead and approve it right now.
Correct.
So,
And they've got plenty of time. If they're not planning on being open until winter. They've got
Yeah.
plenty of time to get all that done.
exactly. Yeah. Okay, so then I would take a motion to go ahead and approve planning and zoning's recommendation.
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, so you guys understand what we're saying. We're not completely shutting it down. It's just once you get things in order
Let's revisit it.
to go back through the process again, because we're not going to get hung
that
up on
gonna-
that 8-foot difference. But we just want to make sure that everything's done according to code. All right. Any other
Is that going to
questions?
be,
Linda,
Yes.
this is Chapel. I do have one question. Does that include any type of, any business operation timeframe? Do they have to meet a certain number of requirements or be open as a normal business?
Well, I think
Or
as
no.
long as they have a business license and
They can operate when they want.
then, and they're open, for, as long as they have a business license and they're registered with the state, then I don't know that we can tell them how much, but the front of the business is going to have to be kept commercial. It can't be used as a residence.
Okay.
And that's how it is now. We've had a business license since 2016, and we're registered with the city and the state. We pay taxes when we sell, that kind of thing. That's been since the beginning.
Okay.
Okay.
So yeah, so that's a recognized business within the town. So we can't really do
Right.
that, but we can you just need to make sure that you're in compliance on everything else. Okay. Roll
Okay,
call.
so we need to meet with Chapels. We need to meet with Chapels, the building and permits and stuff first.
Exactly.
Okay,
And then you'll have to go back to planning and zoning again
right.
After
Okay.
the permits.
after the permits.
All right,
Before
thank you.
we start the work. Okay, roll call.
Counselor Sloan Covington,
Yes, we're voting to go
To-
With
yeah,
the
most
recommendation.
to accept the recommendation. Okay, yes.
Counselor Steve Cherry,
Yes.
Counselor George Wondell,
Yes.
Counselor Dan Foley.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. All right, next item on the agenda is under new business, consideration and approval of resolution 2020-07. And this is the budget for fiscal year 2020-21. So we had a work session and talked about budget. And originally we were going to go ahead and just go with the same budget that we had last year. That was the recommendation we've sort of been receiving from the state. But after we got the GRT from March, and it was 35% down, we decided to go ahead and take a 20% decrease across the board on GRT. And that's pretty much the only major change. So that'll be the decrease in the revenue. And then on the expenses, we have increases in health insurance across all departments. We took a few decreases in the special event funding since so many of those were canceled. And that's about it. Is there anything else? So it's a flat budget, except, the decrease in the GRT, and knowing that we'll be able to make any kind of budget adjustments as we need to going forward.
And we didn't cut advertising.
Did not cut advertising one
That's a
bit.
big deal.
No services, nothing.
And no
services.
services, yeah. So we've been very conservative, and the town is healthy. So I feel like we're in a really good spot, but we just want to make sure that we're cautious going forward. Okay, so if I could have a motion to approve resolution 2020-07.
I'll make that motion to approve resolution 2020-07.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Any other questions or discussion? Okay, roll call.
Counselor Steve Cherry,
Yes.
Counselor George Wondell,
Yes.
Counselor Dan Foley,
Yes.
Counselor Sloan Covington.
Yes.
Motion carries. Okay, the next item is motion to advertise ITB number 420 for fish stocking. And I've lost my package, so.
Okay, it's right here. It's,
I'll make the motion to advertise ITB 420 for fish stocking.
what do you think about the sizes? Did you-
So I think if I'm continuing on as the fish stocking counselor, no, I don't know about that. I think sizes, I think it's great because the state stocks a certain size, that 8 to 10 inch range, and I think it just is awesome for our people to catch some larger fish out of there. The only thing that I would like to maybe change, if we could, is the timing of some of that stocking. If we could get some spring break stocking, and then maybe start earlier in the summer, say Memorial.
The only reason,
And I heard that they said that the water was too high, but the state stocked, so I don't. Maybe we can talk to them about, maybe we can't stock the larger fish then, but something. And then I think discussing with the ski area as well. Spring break, they're done making snow. Is there still snow in the pond? Can we put some fish in there, or have for just at least one load in to have? I mean, because there's not a single fish in the pond right now,
really,
and it's kind of sad when you drive by and see all the people sitting out there. So
And I yelled.
We don't have an issue stocking the pond at spring break.
awesome, thank you.
So this would start mid-June?
Mid-June, yeah.
Okay.
But I think if we can put in that bid too, for next year, for spring
What do you
break.
think, mid-May or
Well,
April?
You're talking spring break okay.
I think spring break, yeah, absolutely.
60 degrees.
It's warm out. People are riding bikes around,
Okay.
They're not skiing 5 days, 4 days like they are in the winter.
so I guess contingent upon the weather, or
Contingent upon, yeah, well, I mean, they're already cold and wet, whether they're up here or down in the valley in their troughs.
right? But I don't know as far as the like crowlers or who, if they are prepared to
Right.
with permitting and all that stuff. I don't. So I guess I could
Yeah,
find
so
out.
that's
about
part
that.
of the, if we could just have that conversation with them, I think there would be, because there's a lot more people walking around spring break.
And assuming the fish will last until May if they're not caught.
Yeah, exactly.
They
So
can live.
they'll survive if we start stocking just a little earlier, so that some of those crabs that are here through Memorial. That was just my only thought on it.
I'll give them something else.
I think the size is awesome. People are pumped.
Yeah, that's great.
Pumped. I caught a fish at Westby. Just dumped it in there last week. It's not 16 years old.
Yeah, but they don't know.
They love it. It's great.
It's
So
steps.
that was just my, for even Memorial and some of these other, as we're getting busier into the spring and nice weather weekends, we could just start spreading that out a little earlier.
Okay, so then do we want to go ahead then and change the ITB to start, say, spring break and then,
Weather dependent and assuming that they're able
If they
to.
can.
okay,
Just to clarify, this ITB is good for a whole fiscal year. So we could technically start during spring break or whatever.
Yeah, right.
okay,
Yeah.
gotcha,
Yeah.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it won't, this ITB won't start till July 1, right?
Yes, we'll just have to change. Yeah, this ITB
one.
won't till
Yeah.
July 1st.
July
Yes.
1st, okay.
But,
Okay,
yeah, we can change the date.
Just spread it out a little.
all right, so if I can have a motion for ITB 420,
I'll make that motion again for
Second.
ITB 420.
second by Steve, Counselor Cherry, and we'll do roll call.
Okay. Counselor Sloan Covington,
Yes.
Counselor Steve Cherry,
Yes.
Counselor George Wondell,
Yes.
Counselor Dan Foley.
Yes.
Motion carries. All right, the next one is ITB 520 for Public Works Services, and we do this every year. You've got it in your packet for the different services that we'll be bidding for. So if I could have a motion for ITB 520.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Any other questions or discussion? Roll call.
Counselor Steve Cherry,
Yes.
Counselor Dan Foley,
Yes.
Counselor George Warndall,
Yes.
Counselor Sloan Covington.
Yes.
Motion carries. And the next ITB is 620 for road construction materials. Again, we do this every year. If I could have a
I'll make a
motion.
motion to advertise for ITB 620.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any other discussion? Roll call.
Counselor George Warndall,
Yes.
Counselor Steve Cherry,
Yes.
Counselor Sloan Covington,
Yes.
Counselor Dan Foley.
Yes.
Motion carries. Okay, the next one is ordinance 2020-01, amending ordinance 1996-09. And this is the lodger's tax ordinance. And we are basically just introducing this because it's something that needs to be worked on and come to you guys to adopt a new lodger's tax ordinance. We need to include things for all the third-party rentals, the VRBOs and the HomeAways, to make sure that we have agreements with them that they're collecting our lodger's tax. So that's all it is.
And then there's examples like of.
Can I speak to that?
Okay.
Hello?
Can I speak to that?
Yes.
None of the third-party channels except for Airbnb collect any sort of revenue at all. It defaults to the lodge owner to collect and process any of those payments. Airbnb is the only third-party channel that actually collects on behalf of the lodgers.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Matt. And we have worked with the town of Taos because they have, I thought VRBO did too, but it's just Airbnb. Okay. Because they have an actual collection agreement in place with them so that they get the revenue. And that's something that we need to move forward with. So we may be reaching out to you for some help on that.
Sure, no problem.
And so there's a couple of them are attached here if you want to look at them, Santa Fe and Albuquerque, what they've done with theirs. So, all right. So if I could have a motion to advertise for ordinance 2020-01.
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any other questions or discussion? All right. And it may take us a little while to get this in place, but at least this is the process to get it started. So roll call.
Counselor Dan Foley,
Yes.
Counselor Sloan Covington,
Yes.
Counselor Steve Cherry,
Yes.
Counselor George Warndall.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Next item on the agenda is to award RFP 2019-01 for advertising. And we had a committee of 5, like Sloan said, that have reviewed. We had 15 submissions, 15 really good submissions. And we narrowed it down to 2, and council listened to those 2 presentations today. The first one was from Vladimir Jones out of Colorado Springs. And the second one is Happy out of Arizona, Scottsdale, Arizona. So at this time, I need a motion to award the RFP for advertising.
I think first I need probably to recuse myself since
Okay.
I sat in on all those committees.
Okay,
Committee
And
meetings.
thank you.
do we pick, as we do the motion or?
We can talk about it first, if you guys want to discuss it, or we can go ahead and make the motion to award it to one or the other and then discuss it and vote on that one.
I think we should maybe discuss first a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we had 2 very different ones.
Yeah.
We had a large advertising company that represents Snowmass, City of Santa Fe. They would both of them are going to do an incredible job. So we had a big one, and then we had a smaller boutique company.
It looks like to me the smaller boutique company is going to put more of our money into media spend. The bigger company is going to keep more for their profits.
Okay. And just so you guys know, we did check references on both of them. both companies got amazing references, and that was one of the comments that the bigger company had a tendency to have extra fees. You know, I think it's very similar to what we have now.
They probably have more overhead because they're a big
Exactly.
company.
Exactly.
But it's hard to know who's going to do the better job.
It is. And, you know, I think we're going to be happy with either one. I think it's, you know, we had such a long-term relationship with Hayduck King, which is now Sunny 505, and they did such a good job for us. But, you know, with everything that's going on in the world right now and with the COVID-19, and it's just kind of a good time to be coming out fresh with a new look. And it's an exciting time for us. And it was really exciting to get so many really, really good submissions.
Is there a scenario where we can use more than one ad agency? Are we relegated to using just one ad agency? Is it something where we could take the branding of one and use both ad agencies at any point in time? Or are we relegated to using just one?
We have enough money to do it.
Yeah. If we had a bigger budget, and it seems to work for us to develop a relationship with one specific agency and just work with them. And with either one of these, we feel like we could have a really good relationship with them.
And we can visit this each year.
Exactly. You know,
This is not
That's what I was just getting ready to ask.
If
So
we're not
this would be
happy,
for an annual-
we can change.
April, May, July, we do this every year. But you're right. I mean, we are not tied into this. If for some reason it's not a fit,
We can go
We can
to our
move
second
on.
choice
We
and
sure
go,
can.
let's try them next year, you
we
know.
certainly can. I mean, it's really stepping out for us to go to a different agency. So, okay, do I have a motion or y'all?
I did have one question for the council just to consider. You guys can hear me then?
Yes.
The only thing I wanted to hear thoughts on is between the two, I just sat in on the work session earlier. Scalability, you know, obviously we want to grow as a town to, you know, drive revenue and see better returns on whoever we choose to invest with. Which company do you guys feel has a better chance to scale with growth? You know, do you feel we could outgrow one, or we could scale with both of them?
I think both of them
I
have the
felt good with both,
potential. Yeah, I don't see us outgrowing either one of them. I think, you know, they both have worked with big clients, and I don't see that to be a problem. And again, I think one of the strong suits for both of them was the data that we're going to be receiving and how we're going to be able to track how effective we're being with our advertising, and also being able to change. You know, if something's not working for us, we can certainly change and go a different direction. I think that's important for us.
I think that with the bigger company, they have more brain power there, more people that can come up with ideas than a smaller one where you just have one or two people trying to come up with ideas.
I think in all reality, we would have an account executive that we would be working with, or an account rep that we would be working with the smaller one. We would, you know, they have a big team, but we're not going to work with all of them. Just like with Sunny 505, they have a big team, and we worked with Dave. So,
Or the smaller one might be prone to give us more. We might be a bigger client to them versus maybe not being as big a client to the bigger firm. So that's always something to consider too.
Sure.
Can I just ask what the committee's recommendation was?
I think Vladimir Jones, I think, scored 23, and Happy scored 21. So it was just pretty darn close.
Close. As was their presentations.
Mm-hmm.
So would anyone like to make a motion?
I was more comfortable. I'll make a motion to go with Happy.
Okay.
I feel more comfortable with them, as I feel like they get us more. I don't know.
I think
just
that's a great reason.
Just my feeling. So.
Okay. Do I have a second on that?
Yeah, it's the three of you.
Second.
Seconded
Let's
by
do it.
Dan. Okay. Any other questions or discussion? This is huge, guys.
It's big. So
I know, sometimes You listen to the slick one and then you don't get what you think you're gonna get. And of course, so maybe the smaller.
I mean, I think we all connected, yeah. I think we would have been happy with either one, but
Well, the thing I think for me that one of the things I see was the media commissions, and then we had to be determined. So that tells me there's a variable out there we don't have an answer to, and just based on the numbers, what we were looking at, but they both presented well with what they can bring, and we're wanting to listen to what we have and what our thoughts and suggestions were going to be. So, I mean, from all of that standpoint, their per hours are about the same. Everything was pretty much, but like I said, George had mentioned the total media that they're willing to put on us versus the overhead. I think the extra expenses, Happy's probably a little more.
Oh, yeah, because on Happy you've got about $40,000 more on media spend. Plus they've still got $40,000 in their contingency.
Which
So
they said they would spend.
right.
I thought it was just going to sit there.
But it's just kind of keep for a rainy day, which we already have at that rainy
So
day
you
fund
can
for
add,
some
tell them to
things.
spend
that
that for
could
us.
be
That puts
spent.
that up to 240 versus 157.
It's true.
All right.
That's quite a bit of difference on the spend.
The media spend, yeah.
And I do like the way that they're not going to charge us for travel, and that they're going to come out and talk to our business community and get to know us.
Now, what is the media commission that Vladimir Jones is going to add?
We
in?
weren't sure what that was, were we?
There's not going to be one.
That would probably come off of the buys. It wouldn't be an addition. It would probably come off of the buys.
I think what he said on there was that adding that additional cost for a commission on booking that media, right?
Are you talking Happy or Vladimir?
Well, I think either one, but I think that I'm happy that's what he discussed. They weren't going to be adding on top
Yeah,
of.
Happy said they weren't
You're
adding
getting
anything.
$10,000 worth of buy. You're getting $10,000 worth of buy.
Right.
You're not getting $8,000 to them or whatever that
Right,
rate
with
is.
the
Because we
commission.
paid we'd pay them that $60,000 a year, and we know what we're going to pay them. So,
No,
I believe we do have representatives from both companies on if we need to.
okay. All right. Any other discussion? Okay, let's do a roll call.
Counselor George Wondell,
Yes.
Counselor Steve Cherry,
Yes.
Counselor Dan Foley.
yes.
Okay, motion carries. So we will start working with Happy. Congratulations, Happy. I mean, it was tough. This is one of the
was
toughest
a
things
tough
we've done because both presentations, both companies are phenomenal. So anyway, thank you both for being on and giving us all your time. All right. Any other business to come for council tonight?
Do you have any comments?
We just have Gary who's raised his hand, but we don't have any other comments.
Does he want to talk?
Hello?
Yeah.
We're there. Good. Great. Afternoon. Question for you. Well, not the original question. You guys were talking about something about the area about tourism overlay.
Tourism overlay.
Oh, the tourism
Back to
overlay
the
zone?
zoning question.
What do you call that? Tourism?
Tourism overlay.
Okay, good. Had it right. When did that come into being?
What year did we?
Adopt the planning zoning overlay?
2016.
2016. Thank you, Chapel.
Okay. If I can ask, why? Why? What did you guys see? Why?
We did that because we didn't want a lot of the businesses on Main Street were being sold as residences, and we didn't feel like it was beneficial to the town to have a good Main Street feel if there was one business and then 3 houses and then another business and then more houses, because we really wanted to preserve the Main Street feel and promote tourism up and down Main Street.
Okay. Okay. Actually, the other thing was, okay. So the mayor has a website, Facebook page, Town of Red River, and look, somebody saw it. A few days ago. Anyway, I posted a personal message on there. Her and I was on the question and answer thing she had a week and a half ago. And I asked a couple of questions. One of them wound up being about the idea of well, actually, the first one I actually got with the mayor with, or with the marshal, asked about that. But what I asked about was how the count went for the papers going around last fall about letting the ATVs be out on Main Street. And I mean, the mayor's there, she can correct me where I'm wrong. She was talking about, she thought it was like 14 to 14. What I asked the mayor on a personal thing there was possibility, or I mean, like we ought to be able to look at the papers themselves. In other words, see what the actual count was.
You mentioned it again today. We submitted the paperwork.
Yeah, I believe, Gary, that paperwork was submitted with the state with our application or our request.
You didn't keep copies?
Do we still have those?
We have copies of. I would
We have
imagine.
copies of. I mean, you can certainly come and look at the copies.
Okay.
Everything we do is public record, so you may certainly come and look at them. I have not physically gone through them.
Okay. How would that work for me to be able to see those?
How does it work to?
Come in and just submit a request
I
to
need
view
to
the
do,
records.
I need to do it for you.
Well,
Yeah,
now that we have,
yeah, and the office isn't open, so you'll need to call and make an appointment to come in, and they can get you the paperwork you need to request that.
Well, if it's a FOIA, I can just go on and just do the paper. I mean, do I deal with the town manager? Is that how this works?
Well,
that's fine.
yeah, you can. Just call town hall and just that 2277 number and tell them that you would like to submit a request to look at the, what's it called, survey, the petition of the names
Right.
for the OHV application. And they'll get that for you, and then you can come pick it up.
Okay. All right. So call first, probably ask for the town manager, and then
You
take
can
it
do
from there.
that, and also we can email you the forms so that of your requisition.
Oh, well, I have a few copies of FOIAs here, so we're good. Anyway, but irregardless, just actually write it out, maybe put it in an envelope. Or do we do this in person, or how does this work?
Are you requesting it? You'd have to make copies. You'd have to come in and pay for the copies. Or are you wanting just to view it?
Viewing would be okay. I mean, I can always take pen and paper with me and write down what I see.
However you would like to have that done.
Okay, all right.
There's just a form that we have to have you fill out, and just call and they'll walk you through it.
Okay, good enough.
Linda?
Yes.
This is Paulette Kiker. Are we going to kind of have a little powwow next council meeting about Memorial Day and maybe the future of some changes?
Yes.
Okay. So that's going to be on the
next meeting.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
I have a couple of questions.
Okay, Matt.
Yeah, November 25th, 2019, the city issued, this planning and zoning department issued a notice to Greg Schrader with the Timbers. And I believe there are several other notices that were issued to other either homeowners or building owners, commercial building owners in town with regard to some of the issues with their buildings. Is there any intent with the city to enforce those notices with the lien rights that are associated with some of those fines that are accumulating at this point?
Yes, and I believe Chapel's still on, and she's been working on that and working with the attorney on it. So Chapel, you want to address that?
Yeah, can you hear me? Okay. So that's a great question, Matt. It has been an ongoing process with the Schroders. That's one of the largest violations of the nuisance ordinance that we have here in town. That They were supposed to start work by May 15th, and clearly they have not. They have until, I believe, I don't have the letter in front of me, but they have until, I believe it's October 15th to bring the building into compliance. Our attorney is hesitant to condemn the building, and he's hesitant to go into court beyond just the municipal court, and he doesn't believe that the municipal court will get the attention of the Schroeders to the degree that we need it to. And so that's kind of something that I would like to revisit with him and have a call with Linda and Georgiana, because I'd like to be a little bit more forceful about it. But essentially they haven't complied with, as you know, with our requests, and the fines are piling up, but it's up to those fines are subject to the ordinance board. They are subject to what Judge Griffin will eventually decide. So our attorney doesn't believe that the municipal court will fine much.
So they haven't obviously not in compliance, but have they even responded to your request at all?
I believe
they have. They are. Yeah, they have responded via Facebook message a couple of times, and we can't file a tax lien or anything. First of all, that would come through the Taos County, but they are current on all of their taxes. So we would have, the route that we would have to do is condemnation, and our attorney doesn't believe that we are at that place.
Okay, what was their response, if you don't mind my asking?
Yeah, I don't have it in front of me. You can submit a request similar to Gary for an information request. I don't have it in front of me.
Okay, and are we asserting equal pressure on all of the other unfinished buildings and commercial buildings that are not in compliance at this point?
Our goal is to, yes. Timbers has been one of the largest nuisances given its location at the corner of Pioneer and Main Street. As I tell anybody, if you do have a complaint about something, feel free to give me a call or shoot me an email. That's the best way that I hear from everybody and hear your concerns. So anytime you do have a concern, you're more than welcome to reach out to me. But I know that there are some other properties, especially in the tourism overlay zone, that we're working on, and we are working with the owners. If anytime anyone has any questions about those specific properties, again, feel free to reach out to me.
Okay. Additionally, I just have one other question, and it's regarding obviously the situation with COVID is a huge issue, and it's a huge issue for businesses. It's a huge issue for the town. Just every single day as a lodge owner, every single day as a business owner, a secondary business owner in town, I get questions regarding the viability of out-of-state tourists visiting the town of Red River, constantly having to answer those questions, as I know all of the other lodge owners are having to answer those questions. And Linda, I guess you and I have had this discussion personally, but is it any way whatsoever the town's going to take a stance to clarify some of the outstanding issues that people have with COVID and the questions that we're being asked on a daily basis with regard to out-of-state tourists and their permission to come to Red River? Are we going to actually give them permission to come to Red River and let them know it's okay without having to read between the lines and without business owners having to answer those questions for them? Is it something that the town's going to take a stand and actually give an invitation to out-of-state travelers? And also, in addition to that, where are we at regarding the governor's stance on her doubling down on the COVID issue with restaurants and other businesses? And are we prepared in June 1st, now that we've gotten through a successful Memorial Day with thousands of people in town, are we prepared to have a conversation with the governor Are we reaching out to the governor? Where are we at with that on opening business for all businesses in Red River?
Well, that's a mouthful. Okay, so let me start with the making the tourists welcome. You know, as far as the out-of-state guests, they are certainly welcome to come here. The only thing that is still in the public health order is that they cannot rent short-term rental, which is ridiculous, but it's in there and there's nothing we can do about it. And they've got it in their head that that's keeping us safe. And we have talked about it, but that's, you know, they can come and stay in hotels and motels and condominiums, but not short-term rentals yet. I'm hoping that that's going to be lifted, hopefully June 1. We'll be talking to her chief of staff on Thursday and hopefully get some answers there, because we do ask these questions every week. And we can certainly have another town Zoom meeting if that's beneficial and kind of keep people updated on that. But we are pushing for it. There is a group of people, the businesses that have been shut down and have been fined, that did file a lawsuit against the governor. And that is something that if any of our businesses felt like they have been treated egregiously and wanted to join that lawsuit, that's something they could certainly look into. So we are pushing the office. We are trying to get things open. I think we proved over the last weekend that we can do it successfully. I think we had a nice amount of people that were in town, and I think it was handled very well. So I think we're definitely ready to go to the next stage. I don't know if you heard that as of tomorrow, restaurants will be allowed to have dining on their outside patios. So that's going to help. And then again, we're looking at June 1st to have in-house dining. I know we have an issue with Facebook. I've been talking to the governmental affairs people at Facebook to see what we can do about some of the sites that are looking like they're Red River, but they're not Red River, and they have a tendency to engage with the negative comments. And they said the best thing we can do is when there's a negative comment out there or there's inaccurate information, we need to hit that little button and report it as inaccurate or a bad post. And I think the more of us that report the post, the more it will get their attention and they can maybe shut them down. But if you look at it, if you look at the site on a good day, it looks like it could be Red River and they're posting good pictures. And then every once in a while, something real negative goes up or something real inaccurate goes up, and then it goes back down. So it's, that's just going to be a constant battle. And I would just say that's where we have to stay positive. Don't get sucked into the negative Facebook post, and just try to report the bad ones and keep it going positive.
Linda?
What was the last question?
I have a question, if I can.
Wait, okay, hang on, Matt. I thought Matt had one more, Rob.
Okay.
Did I miss one of yours, Matt, or did I get them all? Yeah.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, Rob, go ahead.
Linda, I'm going to address this question to you. As you know, I am the president of the newly formed Red River Economic Development Coalition, which is a consortium of businesses. There's a tremendous amount of frustration with these business owners, and it's revolving around the fact that you have not taken a stand for these businesses in Red River in regards to the governor's orders. I noticed that an article came out in the Albuquerque Journal today where there was approximately 17 mayors that stood up and said, we really need to open up the businesses so that we don't perish here. And I did not see your name on that list. Can you please address that?
Certainly. So earlier there was one that the New Mexico Business Coalition did a letter very similar, and my name is on that one. I don't know why I wasn't contacted from these people to sign off on it, because I wasn't. I was also contacted by another group to sign off on one discouraging reopening. So, I have put my name on one that went to the governor. I didn't on that second one. I do meet with them. I do meet with John Bingaman and 16 other mayors every Thursday, and we talk about it and we push for it. I call her office probably twice a week, asking about why this is happening, why this isn't happening. And I guess I'm just not as vocal as some mayors are. As far as the Red River Economic Development Group, I would love to know what you guys are doing, but I didn't even know it was happening until I saw it on Facebook and Matt came and visited with me about it. So, you know, I think that's wonderful to have another group involved with Red River, pushing for our economy, pushing for our businesses. I think it's beneficial if we're all on the same page. And if it's going to be something that's representing the town, I think it would be nice to include the town in that. And, you know, I will certainly continue to push with the governor. And again, we can talk Thursday, but it's kind of like she kind of digs her heels in. And the more we push, sometimes the more she pushes back. And we get frustrated too, because we go through all this stuff and we talk about it, and short-term rentals weren't even going to be included until we kept pushing and kept pushing and kept pushing, and they finally agreed to that. So I thought that was a big win for us, along with the condominiums being able to rent to out-of-state guests. We're all frustrated. We're all as frustrated as we can be, and we all want to see this end. I think as we show how we can do things successfully, I think we were very proactive in putting out the picnic tables all over town so that people at least had places to eat, bringing in the porta potties, bringing in the hand washing stations. Call me if you have ideas, when you have ideas that we're missing out on, and let's start pushing them, because we all want to get reopened, but we all want to do it safely.
I do have an idea, and I would just ask that the town release a statement without a caveat. Every statement that we've made, every statement that you've made, Linda, every statement that the tourism department has made has always had a caveat, which says, yes, you can come to Red River, but why don't we release a statement as a town that says, you are welcome to come to Red River, stay in our lodges, stay in our hotels, stay in our motels, you are welcome to come, without putting a caveat out there, which allows them to make phone calls to the lodges of their choice, to the cabins of their choice, to the people of their choice, and let the lodges handle the interference, rather than the town always trying to run interference for everyone. Because the questions that I'm getting are with the read between the line issues. And rather than throwing the caveat or pitching the caveat out there, why don't we just send a clear message that says, you are welcome to come to Red River from any part of the country, drive into Red River and stay in our hotels, stay in our motels, and stay in our lodges.
And you know, I think the day is quickly approaching when we can do that. I know I have had some tourists that have come to town and they've been upset because they couldn't go in a restaurant and eat. And I don't know how in the world they could be living on this planet right now and not know that you can't go sit down in a restaurant. But we still have to be realistic with what's allowed in town. And
I understand that, and I didn't say anything about restaurants. My question was, why can't we pitch an idea from the town, from the chamber, from the tourism department that says you are welcome to come to Red River as a tourist and stay in our hotels, motels, and lodges. Period. End of story. No caveats, nothing else, and allow them to ask the questions to the lodge owners.
okay. And then it's going to fall on you guys to make sure that you stay within the rental amounts, because I mean, right now we still do have requirements in place, unfortunately.
I understand that, but again, that's a caveat. And it's something that's the responsibility of the lodge owners and the motel owners and the hotel owners to abide by those restrictions. But what we're doing is we're putting so many restrictions out that what it's doing is it's creating a buffer where people don't know if they're even allowed to come. The questions that I get on a daily basis are people going to meet me at the city limits, the town limits, and stop me and keep me from coming in? Or if I do come in, do I have to quarantine for 14 days? And there are so many construed messages out there that people don't even know they're allowed to come. And all we need to do is send a simple message that says, you are welcome to come to Red River from any part of the country and stay in our hotels, motels, and lodges. And then we can answer the questions from there.
Okay, I hear you. I'll make a deal with you. I'll do that if you'll go on Facebook and help me fill the messages of people doing negative stuff back. Because I mean, we're going to get the people, and that's the last thing we want. But we'll work on getting that message out. Okay.
Absolutely, I appreciate it. Thank you very much for that.
Linda, I just going to follow up real quick. There's information when it's put out that's negative never seems to go away. I am getting messages every day from people, just like Matt is and like every other lodge owner within the coalition, and we're constantly fending off these messages. Exactly what Matt said. Am I going to have to quarantine myself if I come? That was a misstatement by you a long time ago, and it's not going away. Yes, people do have to quarantine according to the governor if they fly in by air. You made two statements that didn't say that. You just said if you showed up to Red River, you had to quarantine yourself. Please go back, correct that statement, help us. These lodges are in big trouble. I have people in tears with giant mortgages, and they just feel like they're getting no help at all. So you are our representative you are our agent. You have got to step up and help us with this. So that is all they're asking. And that is where the frustration is coming from, is because people see no light at the end of the tunnel. So tell us what you can do. I mean, I don't know how Matt or I can make this any more clear.
Well, I certainly hear what you're saying. And, you know, that first video that I posted in March, it did say if you flew in, you had to, and it was recommended. It didn't say it was required if you drove in. It said it was recommended. And that was correct for the governor's order. And that was right at the beginning when everyone was pretty concerned and not knowing exactly what we had ahead of us. So we were trying to get ahead of it. But we've tried to be welcoming. I apologize if that's not how it's come across. We will certainly try to do better. And I would just ask that you would kind of include us in on what you guys are doing. I think we all need to be a united front and be doing this together.
Linda, the only reason this group exists is because of the frustration of because what was not going on. Okay, this is filling a giant void. We had, I think our membership within 7 days were 16 businesses when we closed our membership so we could get our bylaws put together. This is going to be a nonprofit organization. We're organizing that right now. And we have people waiting to join. And I've never seen anybody want to join groups like this unless there is truly a need. So if you want to know what's going on, you are a business owner, you are more than welcome to send in an application and join, and you are more than welcome to attend any meeting as a business owner. So please don't think we're keeping you out of the loop at all. However, the only reason this is here is because they feel like they need to take things into their own hands because things are not getting done that they want to have done.
Perfect. All right. Anybody else have any comments? Being none, we will be adjourned. Thank you, guys.